You may not know this, but July is one of the most deadliest months for honeybees. And you wouldn't think so. You would think it'd be more like winter. But today we're going to focus on July. Why is July so critical in the beekeeping community? I'm going to give you a lot of examples today of how to battle July so that July doesn't kill your bees. And watch this video all the way through because I've got a whole bunch more tips at the end of this video to help you get through the month of July. So today we're going to talk about 5 things that are really hard on your bees in July that may cause them to die in the winter. So these are things that are setting your bees up for failure to die and not overwinter properly. Now before we get into these tips, let me encourage you to know on July 4th we're going to offer all of our beekeeping online courses at half price, 50% off. I want you guys to know about it here on YouTube to take full advantage of it. I'll leave a link in the description below. Now let's get into the tips. The first thing I want to talk about, got 5 things. Number 1, the first thing, mites begin to expand exponentially. They just start growing like crazy during the months of July, August, and September. You go out there and take a mite test now in July, there'll be twice as many mites in August, twice as many than August and September. It just keeps growing and growing. The mite populations are terrible in July, August, and September. So July starts this increase of the Varroa destructor mites spreading viruses that even after you kill your mites with maybe a treatment, your viruses are going to be so high in the bees that they may not make it through winter. The second thing we worry about in the month of July, of course, is the heat. Many of you live in hot climates, humid climates. The bees really can't gather nectar on a hot day. So without nectar, they really can't expand. You may see spotty brood, you think your queen is dying, but it might be that your bees aren't able to get the nectar to support the brood that they need in the month of July from all the heat. You see, what happens is in July, when it gets really hot and humid, bees just can't gather nectar. Instead, the foragers are ordered to go out and only bring in water. That water is used as evaporative cooling to keep the colony cool. They cool the brood that they have. So they kind of back down a little bit from raising brood because there's not as much incoming nectar. And that's why it looks like spotty brood sometimes. And oftentimes some of that brood may actually perish if they can't keep it cool enough. And another reason you may see spotty brood in summer, hot summer months. So heat is a big issue. And I'm going to give you some tips, so watch the video all the way through on how to combat mites and heat. But let's keep going and talk about 3 more issues we see in the month of July. So the third thing we want to talk about is the dearth. That's a period of time when the nectar flow stops in your area. And for me, we've had some rain recently. We were really dry for months, and then finally it rained and demolished my house and my property, trees around my house and all. But, you know, thank goodness we got some rain. But the rain does help clover continue to pop. White Dutch clover, like in my yard and fields and such, it helps a lot. So, but there's a point when even Dutch clover will stop blooming. And that's usually end of July or August for me. So wherever you live in the world, think about when does the dearth hit you? When do flowers stop giving off nectar? When do they dry up? That period of late summer into fall when there's not a lot out there. Bees don't have a lot of food sources out there in the fields after we get into late summer, early fall. So dearth is the third reason why July can really be tough if you enter into a dearth. That means that your bees are going to rely on winter stores as early as July, months before winter. Now, before we get into the next tip, let me encourage you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel here. It means a lot to me, and every time I make a new video, if you click on the bell, you'll be notified so you don't miss a single thing. I love you guys. I want you to subscribe. Let's get back into more tips. Number 4, and this is really common. I am shocked as to how many people deal with this issue in the month of July. You know what it is? It's queen issues. All along, maybe your queen has been doing really well in the months of April, May, June, And all at once you see they're replacing her, or she's gone. You don't even see the queen anymore. Maybe you see supersedure cells, and you're not sure if they're swarm cells or supersedure cells, but all you know is, I'm not getting any brood. And you realize, uh-oh, I have a queen issue in July. A lot of brand new beekeepers, brand new to the hobby, they don't realize they have a queen issue. They think everything is fine. They don't detect that queen has failed or is failing. And so they will run July and August and September and go into winter with a failing queen or a queenless colony that they don't even realize is queenless. So I really want you to pay close attention in the month of July to make sure your queen is there and she's really prolific, laying a lot of eggs, producing a lot of capped over brood without being spotty brood. Another reason there's queen issues in the month of July, July is usually the month that beekeepers start harvesting their supers, their honey. And what happens is sometimes carelessness on the part of the beekeeper can smash the queen or carry her off in a honey super. There's issues when you start manipulating honey frames and boxes of honey, taking them on and off the hive, is that the queen can accidentally be killed. Another reason we lose queens in the month of July. The final issue that I want to talk to you about regarding what makes July one of the deadliest months in beekeeping is bees are much more defensive. Now, why does that make July a tough month on bees? Because the more defensive your bees become, the less apt you are to go in there and do mite control, test for mites, treat for mites, inspect for your queen. I've heard so many beekeepers tell me, my colony is so big, they're so defensive, I just can't open them up and inspect them. I'm just hoping for the best. July is when the bees have really reached their maximum, July and August. And so that's usually 40 to 80,000 bees. So you're equal to about 6 to 8 packages. You got your package of 10,000 bees or your nucleus of 10 to 20,000 bees, and all at once now the hive is 4 or 5 times bigger. And it's a little more defensive because they have much more honey to protect. That's going to force you as a beekeeper to let your guard down on being vigilant on inspections and mite control, leading the hive to more susceptibility of mites and viruses and other issues such as queen issues. And late summer, early fall, they're going to start backing down in population and go into winter limping. Now we're going to talk more about this, give you some solutions in this video, what you should be doing in the month of July. This is the July tips, and it's going to help you out a lot. I'll see you over here, tips you should be looking at in the month of July.